Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Sam's33 here, and welcome to Mix Up. And today, I know I said I was going to be talking about the new decks that are coming out from Dragon Exalted and the Black and White On format and all that, but I think it would be best to go over the essentials and what we're losing, what we're gaining before we get onto the decks. So maybe you'll get a larger grasp of some of the things that I decided to do with the deck building choices. So, Black and White On format, of course, Heart Gold, Soul Silver sets leaving us. It's going to be pretty big change in the format, and Dragon Exalted will give us some new staples, hopefully, unless they for some reason be stupid and, exclude them for some stupid reason that they'll never explain. But still, we'll be getting some new staples, some old cards from the old Black-White sets will get some popularity. So let's see what those cards are right now.
So we'll be losing a lot and we'll be gaining quite a lot when this black and white rotation comes around. So I'm going to be going over 3 types of cards that we'll be losing and gaining. The first one is Pokemon that the deck really can't play without. The next is setup cards that are used for consistency and getting your Pokemon out. And then there's just straight up good cards. So first for main Pokemon, what we lose. First of all, we lose Celebi Prime, which is going to be a pretty sad loss for a lot of people. It renders Celebi, Mewtwo, Tornadus, or CMT completely unusable because its main acceleration is, of course, Celebi Prime. There is always, of course, the new Tornadus Donk, which could take over as the new Donk deck, but I doubt it will see very much play. Next is Vileplume. Sad loss Vileplume is. It's been through quite a lot. So many decks based around it, from Vilegar to Vanillix to all the different Mew Prime variants to Mismagius to all these crazy decks, and Vileplume will finally be losing the format, which is pretty sad because there really isn't any strong trainer lock in the format anymore. We do have Zubstrika and Gothitelle, but both are pretty mediocre and unusable, so might be the last we see of item lock for quite a while. And this isn't an enormous loss, but Rotom from Undaunted is actually going to be a pretty heavy loss. It will basically make Durant unusable because really if a Durant is prized, that's a pretty unavoidable loss that you're going to have and will not really be able to recover from something like that. There isn't anything else that can recover prizes in the format yet. There might be one. There will be one in our 7th set, which will feature the Black Kyurem and White Kyurem, called Town Map, which lets you look at your prizes, but you still need to get a knockout, and Durant cannot quite do that knockout. So Durant will probably be leaving the format and will only return once a prize searching card comes about. And now for what we gain, there's a few things that we gain. First is the new Hydreigon, which, if you don't know already, I'll explain this a couple times, lets you move as many dark energies as you want around, which is definitely going to be one of our best decks soon. It will allow us to move energy with Darkrai, kind of like how Klinklang works. So I don't think Klinklang will be too amazing after this format, but it does have a few purposes. But Hydreigon will definitely take over as the new energy switching Pokemon right now. And the next 2 are new EXs from the set. Rayquaza EX is an incredibly powerful Pokemon. For 1 fire and 1 lightning energy, it lets you either discard all fire or lightning energy attached to it and does 60 for each energy you discard. And so with only 3 lightning and 1 fire, you could do 180 damage knocking out any EX Pokemon right now, which is just ridiculous. So this will definitely be a really great card to put in either electric decks or Emboar decks or some other acceleration of that type. So definitely look out for Rayquaza. Next one is Terrakion EX, one of those cards we can add to our long list of fighting Pokemon to use in mono fighting decks. And this one actually has a pretty big role in fighting decks, and we'll probably be seeing a lot of them. For 3 energy, it does 90 damage, quite like Land Crush, but it also has a very good effect that lets you attach 2 basic energy cards from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So this could be a very, very, very needed acceleration for fighting decks that makes it a little better against Hammer Time. The only problem is that it does need a lot of energy to build up the attack itself. But once you do get that attack going and attacking, then you probably won't have any problems with energy for the rest of the game. So Terrakion EX is definitely going to be one of the main things driving fighting decks in this next format. So now let's move on to setup cards. What we lose, of course, one of the biggest losses is Professor Oak's New Theory. One of the greatest draw supporters we've ever had. Feels like it's gone far too soon. It's just an amazing card. There aren't many draw supporters that can replicate its amazingness right now, so hopefully we'll see something as good as it, if not good enough. But we do have a couple draw supporters in this format that can slightly replicate how amazing it is, but not to nearly as much extent. Next, almost as bad of a loss is Smeargle from Undaunted and Call of Legends. And this recently popped up as one of those cards that is just ridiculous for consistent. You can look at your opponent's hand, use a supporter, and of course with such great supporters like Professor Oak's New Theory, Professor Juniper, and N, it just became amazing. But sadly, it leaves our format. It didn't have enough time in the spotlight. It only had a couple formats, just like Celebi. So, sorry, Smeargle. We will miss you. Now, for two pretty big card losses we have here, Dual Ball and Pokemon Collector. Now, these are our two main searches for basic Pokemon, and they're both gone. And we don't have anything nearly as good as these two it's setting up right now. I mean, Collector isn't used much anyway, but still, with its loss, it's going to be much harder to get out a lot of basic Pokemon quicker. So this could be a pretty huge problem for decks that need to set up a lot of Pokemon, but there are a couple cards that can help us out with this. Now for what we gain, this one we've had for a little bit, but I think this is just a card that we'll start seeing a little more play now that a couple cards are gone, and it is Bianca. Now, half a year ago when this card came out, I never thought that I'd be recommending this card because it was quite frankly bad. It lets you draw until you have 6 cards, and with Charon in the format at the same exact time, really how many times are you going to get your hand down to 2? But with cards like Ultra Ball and other cards that let you discard cards, and really you just have to thin your deck out quite a lot in this format, it won't be that hard to get down to 2 cards to make it worthwhile over Charon. Bianca might be that third draw supporter that can replace Professor Oak's New Theory in this new format. Next is a setup Pokemon that's coming out in an arc set, hopefully, which is Emolga. And this has a pretty nice attack that lets you, for 1 colorless, search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. It's the same exact attack as Elgyem, which is in, so you might think why not use just Elgyem, but a couple things that make it better than Elgyem is that it has 70 HP compared to Elgyem's 60, which makes it harder to donk and just harder to kill overall, since 70 is sort of a magic number right now. And it also has no retreat compared to Elgyem, which is definitely very good. Just lets you retreat it and then use its energy later on if you need it. And it also has much better stats in terms of weakness and resistance. Elgyem can fairly easily be donked by a Mewtwo EX since it's weak to Psychic, but Emolga has a weakness to Lightning, which probably will die out a little bit and you definitely won't be donked by any Lightning Pokemon anymore. And it also has a fighting resistance, which means it can take a couple hits from Terrakion. It can even take a hit from its Land Crush if you give it an Eviolite. So Emolga will definitely be one of our new cards that will be seen in a couple decks. So to replace the searching cards we have, we really don't have anything gained. We do have Ultra Ball and Level Ball. You will basically have to run these cards in enormous quantities if you want to get anywhere. Ultra Ball is also a really great card when paired with Bianca. You can discard half your hand and make Bianca's draw power a lot more powerful. And it's not going to be nearly as good as Dual Ball or Collector was, but hopefully with these cards we'll still have some way of getting out those basics pretty fast. And now for just straight up good cards, we have quite a lot we have to discuss. First, what we lose one of the most important cards in the format, which is Junk Arm. It's so sad to see this card go. It's such an amazing card. Lets you get trainers back from your discard. But with its loss, we do have those 4 extra spaces to run more trainer cards. So try to max out all those catchers and whatnot so you don't run out of them. It also makes it hard to run one-off type items like Super Rod and stuff like that. So those might see a little loss in play, and Junk Arm's loss is just pretty large. And next is Rainbow Energy, at least for now. This card didn't see enormous play, but without it, Kling Klang is kind of dead. I mean, you really only have 4 energy you can move around. With the new Blend Energy that's coming out, you still have 8 technically. but Darkrai is uncompatible with Kling-Klang's main blend energy, so Kling-Klang will take a pretty heavy loss from this, but nothing else should see too much loss from Rainbow Energy. For what we gain, we get quite a lot of really amazing cards from this next set, hopefully again. Some of these cards are a large possibility of not being included. First we gain First Ticket, which is a really amazing card that basically, at the start of the game, before you flip over your Pokemon, flip the coin, whatever, you can play it and automatically go first. And if both players play it, then you play rock, paper, scissors. I think the main reason people made this card was because people were complaining that going first was too big of an advantage, but now it actually is a good thing because there's advantage. We get this new card that makes you waste 4 spots in your deck, or less if you really want to this card, to get that really huge advantage of going first. So First Ticket will probably run in every single deck with 4 copies, because that first turn is really amazing. But there might be a couple decks that could survive without them, but definitely try it out and see how amazing it can be. Next is Tool Scrapper, which is another card that's coming out next set that is really great. Basically lets you discard any 2 tool cards in play, which is really great since we have a lot of great tools right now. We have Eviolite, which is of course an amazing card, Dark Claw, we have Rocky Helmet, which is okay, we have the new Large Cloak and Rescue Scarf, and it's also very good against another card we'll be seeing later on in this list of techs. And another thing is also discard your own tools. Say you have an Eviolite and your Darkrai EX and you need to KO something, but you can't put on Dark Claw because it already has Eviolite. You can use Tool Scrapper and get rid of the Eviolite and attach the Dark Claw instead. So Tool Scrapper is definitely a very good card that can be run in almost every deck. Now for the Blend Energy that will be coming out. First we have Blend Energy that provides Grass, Fire, Psychic, and Dark Energy, and the other one which provides Fighting, Lightning, Water, and Steel. So yeah, this opens up a lot of tech options in decks. For example, if you're using a Dark deck, you have a lot of opportunities to tech in Grass Pokemon and Psychic Pokemon and Fire Pokemon. And Blend Energy, it's not going to be as good as Rainbow Energy, and it won't be nearly as helpful in Kling-Klang anymore, but definitely a good card that's coming out of this new set. This card is really great for those new Dragon types we'll be getting out, and that is Altaria. It's a Stage 1 that has an ability that lets all your Dragon Pokemon have 20 more attack power, which is great for cards like Garchomp, Regular Rayquaza. A bunch of cards can really benefit from this card, and it'll definitely make a lot of Dragon type decks come out of this picture. It will also be kind of deadly, since a lot of Dragon types are weak to themselves. A lot of EX Dragon types will be in pretty hot water in this next format, with all these Dragon types with this immense power, with Altaria and all this stuff. And now a couple Pokemon that are coming out of this next set. Garbodor is one of them. He's Stage 1, of course, and has a really nice ability that says when you attach a Pokemon tool to it, it negates all other abilities in play, excluding Garbodor's ability, obviously. So this shuts down a whole bunch of decks in this format. This will shut down Electric completely. This will shut down Hydreigon decks completely. This will make Altaria decks very limited. It will limit the power of the new Sigilyph card. It's just a really great ability, but it does have a pretty faulty weakness. It's the tool attachment, which can be easily countered by Tool Scrapper. So if your deck is focused on ability and Garbodor gets popularity, Tool Scrapper is the card to go to counter this devastating card. And now for the last great card that we'll be getting from our new set is Sigilyph. And he has 90 HP for basic, which is nice, and he has a really, really awesome ability that makes it so he can't be damaged or have any effects taken from him by EX Pokemon, which is also amazing because his attack is also not too bad. For 1 Psychic and 2 Colorless, it does 50 damage and 10 more for each energy in the fighting Pokemon. So it's a really solid counter to Mewtwo EX, and a decent counter to other EXs as well. Its attack is really only good against Mewtwo EX, but it doesn't matter. It's a great ability and a great attack, so Sigilyph will be teched into a lot of decks, especially with the new Blend Energy out. And decks will start needing to run more non-EX Pokemon. So Darkrai will probably need to start running Terrakion more, or some other kind of strange card. So yeah, there's quite a lot of interesting cards we'll be gaining and losing. So let's just hope this format turns out to be a good one.
So thanks for watching this week's episode. And next week we'll be doing what I actually promised, which is look at one of the new decks coming out of the Black and White On format. and then we'll probably look in the next best deck, and the next best deck, basically all the new decks, and then somewhere in between there will probably be something about Worlds or something. I don't know. I'll probably do something about like the winning deck of Worlds, unless it's something really boring, or if there's some kind of weird tech or weird rogue deck that I love, like Lugia Legend or whatever. Like when I talked about Lugia Legend. So, thanks for watching. Next time will be Hydreigon's actual first appearance in this show. Later.